Hey, this is Benjamin. I'm back from interviewing blonde Canadian philosophy masters and complaining in rhyme about my status as a YouTube creator. And we're going to go back to some classic Benjamin Boyce material. Specifically, the Wilfrid Laurier Université Rainbow Centre, who's responding to this statement released by the college on freedom of expression. And this statement came out yesterday, I believe yesterday, and I'm in the works. I'm trying to get an interview with one of the people on the board, but I don't know if this person is necessarily free to talk about this or willing to talk about it to me. But I love how the Rainbow Centre responds to this stuff every time. They're so, I mean, it would be sad if it wasn't so consistently wackadoo. So here we go. I'm going to read their Facebook post responding to this statement of freedom. The statement of freedom. Laurier has released a draft of their statement on freedom of expression, which was written in response, get this, to issues of white supremacy and transphobia on campus. Now, what are you talking about? White supremacy and transphobia. A TA named Lindsay Shepard, if you don't know who she is, I'll link the link up in the link zone. Lindsay Shepard was cornered in an office by 3 personnel. Her advisor, the head of the communications department, or PIMLOT, I don't know exactly what he is, and then this person from the Office of Enforcing Equity throughout the land, specifically the college, Adria Joel. Lindsay Shepard was cornered by these 3 faculty and berated for 40 minutes. And I've gone through and very slightly, Benjamin Boyce style, poked apart all their different arguments. But that was the event that sparked this whole freedom of expression thing. Not white supremacy and transphobia, but because the Wilfrid Laurier Rainbow Centre doesn't have, and yeah, okay, listen. Canadians, I know it's center, but for me, these people will always be in the centre. Okay, so let's reserve the pronunciation of centre, not for the annals of mispronunciations of Benjamin Boyce, and there's quite a few back there. I don't know if you want to count them. I don't particularly want to, but if you look through my comments on every fucking one of my videos, you'll find some. The pile of mispronunciations. But this mispronunciation is no longer a mispronunciation. It's an assignation, hyphenation on the ass, for the Rainbow Centre, who is supposed to be helping trans and different sexualities and non-binary people. And this is how they help the people, by lying and cheating and twisting reality to bend to their hyper-narcissistic worldview. To continue, the statement is superficial and self-contradictory. It is only symbolic since it includes no procedures or policies which can be acted upon. So it's just a statement. It doesn't have actual law behind it. It's just a statement. I get that. The statement is therefore ineffectual and open to manipulation. Now, that's the problem that I would have with this statement. Oh, it can be manipulated and it's open to interpretation. But that's the problem with the document. It's always going to be open to interpretation. Welcome to my channel, where I interpret things, where one commenter who, yeah, I deleted this guy because he was an asshole, but he's like, who talks like that? Are you neurotic? Fucking neurotic or whatever? Like, fuck you. Go ahead. Comment on my shit. If you don't have a substantive argument and you just want to be an asshole, I don't feel the need to keep your little tiny words, your little tiny piddly fists that should be hands waving to me or trying to smack me down. I don't feel the need to keep them on my channel. And maybe I should feel bad about that, and I feel bad about that a little bit, which is funny because we're talking about freedom of expression. You're free to express whatever you want. But if you want to be an asshole, I don't need to keep your comment on my book jacket. I don't. That doesn't work in this society. But back to the WLU Rainbow Centre. There is also no process for equitably arbitrating disputes between freedom of expression and hate speech, neutrality, is an illusion which upholds oppressive frameworks rather than supporting marginalized people, which is their oppressive framework, that they want to equitably support marginalized people. And how do we know if they want to manipulate the system for these marginalized people? And this is the problem I have with marginalizing people or shuffling into boxes of protected and unprotected categories. Because once you have a protected category, you have an unprotected category. That's what's going on with Owen Benjamin on Patreon. He was kicked off, and one of the things that Patreon told Owen Benjamin was that he was slandering protected classes. So this is a thing. So Owen Benjamin is part of the unprotected class, and the protected class are part of the protected class. So once you have a protected class, you have an unprotected class. That's my point. But once you have a marginalized class that you are trying to bend all the rules, manipulating and interpreting all the rules specifically for those marginalized classes, you will in effect be marginalizing other classes. That's the problem I have with that. And it's brilliant how either pig-headed or willfully manipulative, or willfully, what would it be? Willfully blind. No, willfully covering up their own manipulation of all the events. And I've gone through, maybe I'll link them all in the comments, all the little different things that I've read about this, posted by this WLU Rainbow Centre, is about manipulating data, manipulating facts to serve their ends and their interests. And those interests, to get back to the point that I was trying to get to before I got derailed, their interests, I believe, are not in line with actual trans people who don't want to be activists, who just want to live their lives in peace. And yeah, it's a painful thing. It's a painful thing to not be recognized as an identity that doesn't match up with the different coherent identities that are established as a norm in a society. I get that. And I think that that's where compassion would kick in. And if you want to kick in people's compassion or empathy or sympathy, somebody's going to correct me on that. Empathy, sympathy, irregardless of what you want to do. If you want to be a nice person, you're going to look at a person as an individual, not as a class, protected, marginalized, etc. Not as a people, but a person. And then you're going to expect that that person is going to look at you as a person and not try to marginalize or demarginalize you. And these people don't do that. They want to marginalize everybody else and effectively throw everybody they're trying to protect under the bus. Because once the normal person is going to come along and say, why would I give up all my stuff so you could just rampage all over everything that I'm working for? Or thrown into, to wink or nod at Heidegger. To continue, given the context of this statement, it is interesting to note that the definition used for diversity makes no mention of gender identity or expression. You didn't include us! What about us? One of our main criticisms this year has been Laurier's. They don't do anything except criticize. I guess they throw little events and Antifa rallies and stuff. One of our main criticisms this year has been Laurier's failure to acknowledge transphobia. Okay, so Laurier's Rainbow Centre said, there's all this transphobia, there's all this transphobia, there's all this transphobia, and you guys are not recognizing it. And as I said in earlier videos, there's no documented evidence of transphobia unless you include people disagreeing with you. That's the only evidence that people are willing to debate whether trans is an identity or how you become trans is what's proper about that, or how should we change our language to accommodate these people. There's a debate about that. And the debate itself, as I've shown before, is transphobic. And I've always hated that phobic thing, right? Like, and the first time I heard it was homophobic, right? And it pissed me off because just because I'm uncomfortable around somebody who I've never encountered before doesn't mean that I'm scared of them. It's basically the same thing as calling somebody a pussy or a cuck. It's a below-the-belt playground jab. Transphobia, homophobia, Islamophobia. It's hyperbole. And it's unwarranted, and furthermore, it muddies the water of getting toward a discourse in a manner that can allow two people to navigate difference. Rhetoric or hyperbole, even Latin hyperbole, aka the suffix phobia, actually incites more difference than it quells. The gendered violence policy includes transphobia as a form of gendered violence. I think that they're talking about Laurier's policy. And it includes transphobia as a form of gendered violence. Well, what is transphobia? However, it is unclear how the statement will be applied in relation to policies such as the gendered violence policy. Under these circumstances especially, gender minorities must be named. What do you mean by that? So they want specific, again, they want you to specifically say that we are catering to you, that we want to embrace free expression except where it comes to you. You get to dictate what is free expression where it comes to you because of this thing called gendered violence, which is within which is the concept of transphobia, but they don't specify exactly what they mean by transphobia, transphobic incidents. They just say they're there, they're everywhere, and we need to solve them. And free expression is not going to solve them. It's just going to give rise to hate speech, which therefore will be against trans people, which therefore is a form of violence. Words are violence. Expression is violence if it's free, and not just free. And why do they have a problem with freedom is because that freedom tramples on their feelings, or their rights to not feel bad, let's say. To continue, the statement is also selective in which commitments it chooses to honor. It fails to acknowledge, for example, Laurier's commitment to, quote, providing equitable employment and promotional opportunities to those from equity-seeking groups. Hold on, we got to pause there. Providing equitable employment and promotional opportunities to those from equity-seeking groups. What does freedom of expression have to do with giving certain people of certain classes certain jobs or opportunities, employment opportunities? Those equity-seeking groups. And what is equity but a balancing of the field, saying, look, there's all these men named John. Okay, listen, the New York Times, they published a story. You can check out my Twitter. I retweeted it or shared it on Twitter. They published a story the New York Times did on this ongoing glass ceiling blog that they have that stated that there are more men named John than women in positions of power in certain fields. Like, the New York Times is looking at, like, they're trying to, like, which is basically a manifestation that everything has to be equal. But the problem is that they're going to this subjective naming thing. Now they're saying that there's so many men just named John that as a class is greater than women as a class. So men named John are now a no longer protected class. They need to be targeted. We need less men named John so that we can have more women. And I think that men are being named John less and less, but I don't know. Maybe that will be the solution. Just name your kid Shaquina. That could come off the wrong way. Let's say Jacqueline. Name your kid, your boy, Jacqueline, and see if you can get into a position of power. Good luck with that. To continue, example 1 or 2. Okay, it fails to acknowledge, for example, quote, having Laurier be an extraordinary and empowering experience for all First Nations, Inuit, and Métis or Métis students, staff, and faculty. I'm sorry about the Métis thing. I can't remember how I should pronounce it. Again, it's about jobs. Again, it's about certain classes. This is intersectionality at work. They're trying to say that, listen, you guys wanted to be fair and equal and equitable, and that's not going to work if you want freedom. They're basically saying freedom of expression, freedom of thought doesn't line up with this equity agenda. You guys, the institution has embraced equity, and obviously freedom of expression does not cohere with equity. This is really scary. And the problem is that these people don't see that if we just say that might is right, then the majority will actually quash you. There are ways of communicating and eliciting compassion, sympathy, empathy, whatever, from other people, even the majority. They can be persuaded. And my thesis is that people naturally want to be persuaded to be nice to you. But they need to see that you have good faith. And once you show them that you don't have good faith, they are going to be naturally inclined. Read The Righteous Mind by Jonathan Haidt, which I'm going through right now, and he talks about this. People are going to be naturally inclined to give you the benefit of the doubt if they see that you're acting in a moral way, or a righteous way, or a fair way, right? So lying, cheating, bending facts, and then trying to take from people, not based on the supremacy of their statistics, and then calling them supremacists for their statistics, for their statistical likelihood of existing, is not the way to garner good faith. Which is, of course, is obvious, right? Who am I talking to? I'm talking to people who already agree with me about people who don't. So this is probably very unequitable, or even slightly even non-entertaining activity. But let's try to wrap this up. In the past year, Laurier has actively attempted to silence student equity groups on social media. How? They're on social media, they were on TV. How were they being silenced? They will not specify, because once they specify, we will mock them. They don't specify. They just say, Laurier has been unfair to us and has allowed white supremacy to have a platform here on campus. Now, Faith Goldy was invited to campus by Lindsay Shepard's freedom of, or hard thinking thing. Lindsay Shepard set up like this group, the student group, where they invite contentious speakers to campus, and Faith Goldy, who I don't know too well, but apparently she's kind of dicey with regards to the whole white nationalism or ethnocentrism thing. I don't know. Faith Goldy was given a chance to speak, and instead of debating her, these motherfuckers, or Antifa tactics, they pulled the fire alarm and shut down the event. So it didn't actually go through. This event didn't actually happen. And the college didn't host the speaker. This student group hosts this speaker in order to have real debate with teeth. But these people are scared of debate. They're scared of expression. They want power, they want money, and they want everybody to shut it up, their pie holes, and give it to them. I'm going to try not to edit this, just so you guys can see exactly how many fumbles I do at this time of the evening, 6:15. The contradiction between existing commitment and genuine action will only be exacerbated, I love that word, exacerbated, by the guidelines set forth by the Freedom of Expression Statement. How will the contradiction between existing commitment and genuine action be exacerbated? Exactly. How? Finally, the statement claims that, quote, the university takes seriously its commitment to the well-being of all community members and provides a range of support systems and services. However, end quote, however, those support systems and services, such as the room that these people, well, the centre that these people have, however, those support systems and services are either unprepared to deal with issues of diversity, exactly how, or are held back by administrative rank from effectively supporting students. How exactly? The administration, the staff swooped down. Okay, this is what happened in a nutshell. Lindsay Shepard showed a 3-minute clip of Jordan Peterson debating with some other guy who goes by them about gender pronouns on like national television. Lindsay Shepard showed a 3-minute clip. Somebody complained about this clip in the Rainbow Centre. Somebody else overheard this clip in the Rainbow Centre. They went to an administrator. The administrator went to Lindsay Shepard's overlord. And then they brought in the equity person. And they swooped down on her. This system, well, it's not actually a system. It went around the system to enact this vengeful silencing of Lindsay Shepard, which led to this whole kerfuffle. So a subsystem, a black market of social justice is alive and well here, guys. You already have what you want, and you were caught out, and that's why you're pissed off. However, those support systems and services are either unprepared to deal with issues of diversity or are held back by administrative rank from effectively supporting students. In addition, many of the services offered are led by the very students who are in need of support themselves, such as you guys. You guys need a lot of support, like thoughtful support, like support with this thing right here that's causing you to babble all this stuff, and not doing a very good job of covertly sneeveling into power, into more power. So you guys need support, but not in the way that you want support, not just a blank check. You don't need a blank check. You've already given the blank check, this rainbow centre, this blank room, and that's what you do with it. You use it as a place to gossip and connive in secret, and then send out these little missives to the interwebs, which has 34 likes and 16 shares and 1 comment. But the comments are unseeable. They don't like discussion. This issue has been articulated many times this year and gone unaddressed while the university continues to issue statements of support which are not followed up with actual accessible resources. AKA, give us the fucking money. I really shouldn't cuss, should I? Members of the Laurier community will gather at the Hawk outside Wilf's at 9:30 a.m. and attend the town hall as a group. The town hall itself will be held in the Senate and board chamber at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, May 24th. And I will poke around for any video film of this, and I will try to get an interview with at least one professor about what's going on there. This was posted 11 hours from right now. Right now is 6:19. So they woke up at 7 a.m. to post this. They woke up so early to post this. Oh, but there's a time differential, right? So they're 2 hours ahead. So they were this was posted at 9 and the meeting was at 9:30. So they posted it 30 minutes before they were going to meet up. Oh, today's Tuesday, April 24th, 2018. This is Benjamin Boyce. Have a good night. And oh, here's a cat and another beast or critter. I think it's a critter. There's a varmint and a critter. This might be a varmint. I think varmints are the ones that are dangerous and critters are the ones that aren't. So you make up your mind about this.
Let's see. So he's going for her. Hey, good. Hey, little guy. Aww. Makes it cute.